Ich habe es noch keine klare Definition. Wo fängt er wo an? Also wir wissen, es fängt bei 0,5 an, aber wo ist der Schluss?
Shall we wait for one session, yeah? Until we know the
Yeah, I want to see what. I just hit the go live button. Oh, okay. It's gonna go live by itself. I got it.
Das ist so schwachsinnig. Dass wir bei uns nicht so, ja, es ist fast zwei Teile vom Alkoholfrei, einmal sachte selben Wein mit Alkohol, ist bei mir Alkohol. Und das ist natürlich noch gut getroffen. Da hast du den Wein, der in seinem Alkohol hat, ein Bier hast. Auf der einen Seite Bier und auf der anderen Seite 4 Apfel. Durch das Gleiche. Das heißt, das ist eine ganz andere ist den anderen Nachteil, das hat du auf einmal alles. Wir haben heute eh auch da so ausgeführt. Und das ist natürlich auch
I forgot to thank you, but we have to enter the link anyway.
Das ist billiger als die 2 Stunden von dem. Aber 4 wahrscheinlich, wenn es auf die 0,2, 0,3 schon wieder über die 2 Stunden abbaut, dann würde ich absolut nahezu 0,03 das war das mittlerweile, wenn es die Möglichkeit gibt, Weinbegleitung zu machen.
Ursprünglich in dem Sinne, sie gerne auch so. Das ist ein Privileg.
Perfect. That's all I know.
Actually, with milk out
Just have to repeat it exactly as you hear it.
Ist Punkt oder nächsten Tag mehr Kankersymptome, mehr mühsame Stunden, als vorher noch weiter Alkoholstress.
Auch der
This is important. This year, it's like, okay, non-alcoholic, that's kind of found it. We're not done on many, we're relevant and we're up to date now. We'll keep pushing this, but got it. The restaurants. Yeah, so I have like all sorts of huge questions. I walked in, it's like coffee sandwich. Hey, but this is what my wallet was. So it's like I have a wall like this, like small bottles. Cocktails right here. This is Is it up? Is it on? It's in 1 minute. Joshua. Nice to meet you. Okay, good. Are you excited? Are you in Austria? Okay. Now we are. Is it going? It's live, right? That means it's live. It's a little delayed, right? That's fine. It's normal. Hi there, I'm Joshua. How many people watching? Good. Hello. You got it. She was serving me, and I was coming. Just sitting there. Just sitting there. Looking at it,
yeah, we had so much stuff going on. It wasn't like I would not do that for long. And now we live together already.
I got like an 11-month story that I can tell you that's really good. It's a good one. It's a good one like that. Well, no, I had to wait. You know, I had to like. I didn't think it was gonna happen. It was like batting out of my league. It was like literally a supermodel. Like that was her job, and an actress, and 60,000 followers on Instagram, telling people about the modern sobriety movement, and she's freaking hilarious. There's no ego about it. Really that I have her as the co-host for this non-alcoholic beverage traveling show on Netflix. It's the most important thing this year. So we had a lot of meetings, and I never flirted with her. I wasn't making any moves. I was like, not that she's out of my league, but she is, but like she's not. I don't think that way. But also, it's just like, this is batting here. Oh wait, she's probably might have been listening right now. So she's like the only other one on there, I bet. Yeah, and then we started filming our first location in New Orleans, and then we got a house together. So we were living together for the week, and I was like, I'll figure it out. If something happens, I'll pull it out when we get there. So I got there. I couldn't get a pulse on it, but it was for interesting reasons. It was because she didn't want to compromise the project with us making out. It's just like moving in together, like together for the rest of our lives. Yeah, it's all good. For me, oh, I'm good. Her, she's like all in, no problem. Put a ring on her finger. Months later, like non-traditionally, but still. You're Christian there. No question. Give it a little bit. What looks like people come in. Now you should say something. Like, we'll give it about 3 more minutes. 5 more minutes. These people get walking away.
Hello everybody, people are coming because they want the shoot to keep this coming. And yeah, until that, it's really checking. And the next time I take the microphone, we will start with our whole discussion and short intro.
You have a very nice picture.
Yes, yeah.
There was one more.
So I think we will get started. A warm welcome again from my side. It's a pleasure that all of you have been here today, where we will talk 2.5 hours about a very special movement and about something that is even beyond what everybody was expecting. We will talk about non-alcoholic wines. And so that you can dive in more perfectly into the world of non-alcoholic wines, we have today actually 3 sessions. We have a Podium discussion, which we will start shortly. Then you will have a tasting of ZERONIMO wine, which is the perfect pizza pairing to it. And last but not least, we will experiment something today that nobody in the world ever has before. It's a world premiere, and we are so thrilled that we are able to show you this today. So those are our 3 points, and we will give you some very close market insights from the US market and from Austria too, some practical experiences, and for that we got probably one of the best people in the world we could imagine. So all the way from America, Joshua James. Josh, Josh is not only a pioneer concerning non-alcoholic options, he's also one of the first ever in North America that was forming a non-alcoholic space, a bar and a shop. So that's actually quite unique to have somebody like him here. He is also the brand ambassador for ZERONIMO in the US and our main importer. But he will tell you about this something else later on. Then we have Lucas Martins here. He is very important for this movement, especially for Austria. He has created one of the first in Austria some days ago, and it was a pleasure for me, some weeks ago, sorry, and it was a pleasure for me that Lucas is here. And last but not least, it's Patrick and me. We are the crazy people from Austria that 1 year ago took one of the best wines, realized it, and created the non-alcoholic wine brand ZERONIMO. Yeah. So by introducing everybody, I would like to hand over my microphone to Josh, who will give you a short intro to today's Podium discussion. Are non-alcoholic wines more than just an alternative?
Thank you, Katya. Thank you so much. and thank you, Austria. This is my first time in Austria, and it's been amazing. I've got to eat the food here. I've got to drink some wine and see the wine factory in Bergenland and I just feel very honored to be here to get to talk about something that is not a small thing. It is a very, very big thing that's happening in the non-alcoholic beverage world, because I'm guessing everybody here has heard something about, as we would say in America, non-alcoholic beverages, but maybe here it's alcohol-free. And that is a subject that is a household subject in America right now. So everybody's talking about it, but this is a very new thing. And why I say it is such a huge thing is because it involves the way that people get together and socialize. Therefore, the fabric of culture itself is affected by these things, because you don't get together over a glass of water, right? He's like, come over to our house and we shall drink water and get together and cheers. It has to be a drink, and especially when it's in a wine glass. This is how we connect and we have a good drink. So this also affects not just the fabric of culture, but it's also big alcohol. And alcohol, like the consumers' drinking preferences are shifting. That is a $1 trillion industry. So this is another reason why it's a very big thing. And then it's also a part of the wellness industry. So I see the pendulum swinging towards wellness. That's another $1 trillion industry. So, but it being such a new thing, why I'm so excited to be here is to talk about this in a very excited and passionate way. Because where some industries can be freaking out and they can be getting scared, I see it very much so differently, as it's something to get very excited about. Because for a little bit of a background, I'm a bartender. I chose bartending as a career about 18 years ago, and I tried to drink as many wines and beers and spirits since I was like 22 years old. I'm 42 now. And that was super fun for me. And I got to bartend at some really fancy bars. I also brewed a lot of beer myself. I've brewed over 100 batches of beer at different breweries, but then also home brewed in a bunch of different places. So I'm a cocktail guy and classically trained cocktail maker. And that was what I was into. So as people like to get into being a chef, I got into making cocktails. And then as I turned about 35, 36, 37, it was not a healthy pursuit anymore. And I did not feel like myself and my character and my integrity were being sacrificed for this thing that I loved so much. So at the end of 2019, I was 37 years old. I was like, I'm taking a year off drinking. Let's see what happens in that year. Alcohol was such a big part of my life. It left this huge void, and I wanted to see what would fill that void. And about 6 months into that year of not drinking, I started reviewing non-alcoholic beverages on YouTube, and I started buying as many different non-alcoholic beverages that I could find at the time, and I was in San Francisco. About 8 months into it, I walked into a deli that was completely closing right by the beach. I was like, you want to buy the place? And I was like, sure. Like, how much? And she's like, $50,000. And I was like, really, for everything? She's like, yes. And I was like, you mind if I sit down? It was during COVID. It was 2020. I did not want, I was getting out of restaurants for sure. But this opportunity came. It was super inexpensive and an opportunity. And I could see that non-alcoholic beverages were coming because I had 30 videos on YouTube. I got to know the owners of a lot of different brands. And then I got the funding, I committed to it, and I opened up Ocean Beach Cafe in San Francisco specifically to do a non-alcoholic bar and bottle shop. So I could geek out on liquor, beer, and wine that was non-alcoholic. And I called it a cafe on purpose so that when people came in for coffee and sandwiches, I could show them something. And it looks kind of like this room where there's a wall of bottles, and then there's a bunch of coffee being made over there, and there's a whole bar section over here, and this whole retail section with all these bottles, and everybody thinks it's alcohol. 90% of customers, before they leave, they know that it's all non-alcoholic. And that's what I felt I was put on this earth to do now, was to let people know just what it looked like. All these bottles are so sexy and everything's so interesting. And now, 4 years later, my shop is still going and it's thriving because everybody's talking about this thing. I've had 70 articles written about me, and people know that there's a spot out by the beach in San Francisco that has all these really cool beverages. And now I get to travel the world, and I get to consult, and I get to talk to many sommeliers and CEOs and hospitality groups about this thing, because now it's all about education and awareness. And I was actively searching for the best non-alcoholic wine in the world for the last 4.5 years. And for the first 3 months of my cafe, I did not bring any wines in because none of them were good enough. It is still the case today that a lot of non-alcoholic stuff just is not that great. And now after 4 years, the stuff, every single thing that I have on my shelf is on there for a reason. And I say no to a lot of brands. And I'm also very progressive in the way I look at things, where I just want the really neat stuff that another bartender is going to want. I want to taste up to sommeliers. I want to, those who I want to talk to are managers, bar managers, owners, and sommeliers. My favorite people to taste, especially non-alcoholic wine on. So that's what we get to do today, because when that brand came to me, I was like, okay, now we're talking. And I'm super excited to get to talk about these things and really just impress on people on this. It's not something that is going away. I say it's a trend, but it's certainly not a fad. And I can give you a little bit of visual, and I'm happy to talk to you guys later about some more of the numbers on these things, because just this last year alone, non-alcoholic beverages are up 31%, just from July to last July. And then the one before that was another like 27-something%. And I just want to pull this up to just show a little bit about this, the $740 million market. And I'm not sure how much you can see from there, but you might be able to see how it just notches up every year. This is the one that's starting from 2021. That was right when I opened. And then these notches right there are dry Januaries that happen. So as it notches up each year, and then it gets exponentially greater, as you can see in that dry January, where do you think all of that is going? So this is something to get excited about, and it's a very big thing, not something to get scared about. And these products are getting better and better and better, and this whole industry is literally shifting almost on a daily basis, and especially a monthly basis as it continues to level up. So I'm so excited to be here. Thank you guys for creating this whole space, and happy to answer any questions during or especially after. I have a lot of things there that I'm really excited about. And was there some questions you want me to lead off to give to you next? Okay.
So thank you very much. Probably it's also good to get a little bit of insight from the Austrian market. So America is like probably one of the fastest growing market in this area, with 29% last year, and this year going to 32% growth. And non-alcoholic wines had a growth there for 15%, that is also tremendously. For Austria, we have actually no current numbers available. What I want to share with you is the following insight. From we started 1 year ago producing alcohol wines. Today we have 15 times more production just in 1 year. And in the meantime, in 1 year, every second wine that we sell over the whole winery is not alcoholic. That's huge. We have doubled our winery in 1 year. So we are really talking about serious here. And I think that this is not just something that belongs to us. Consumer-wise, it's really crazy. People really demand it and people really want it. What we have a little bit of drawback is restaurants. We will also talk a little bit about that. Yeah, and I would like to place the question to you first, because often we're getting asked, what is the difference between non-alcoholic wine alternatives, and grape juice and verjuice? Can you probably give us a good distinction about that?
Pleasure, very happy to do so. So let's try, yeah, just to get my point a little closer. So non-alcoholic wines are obviously wines that are as wines. They had alcohol in the very first beginning. It was a wine per se. So grape juice fermented, some oak, some steel, and then the alcohol is been removed. We will talk about the different methods afterwards, but there are different methods to remove the alcohol to a very, very small percentage. Grape juice is and say grape juice. So it's not fermented. Normally they have a little bit of fermentation, but it's grape juice. The sugar level is much higher compared to the wine because there's no real fermentation process, and they're actualized a little bit more heavy, a little bit more food weight to most wines. Verjus is the grape of unripe grapes, and they have a little bit more acidity, fresher compared to grape juice. And yes, now the big topic newspapers are also talking a lot about is proxy or wine alternatives. And proxy, maybe to say that proxy in German means Stellvertreter. So the combination of wine proxy means Weinstellvertreter. It's obviously not a wine, so they don't contain grape juice, not fermented grape juice. They are made with different juices, with different teas, sometimes fermented, sometimes just pressed, macerated, different herbs, bitters, sometimes salt, or some to create some feeling of a wine, the complexity. They're multi-layered, they have length, but they are not wine. And we should also not compare them with wine because they are not.
Thank you so much, because that's actually a question we all have. Yeah, and also one of the great questions of those people on alcoholic wines are always saying that the more expensive grape juice. Yeah, I think important that we distinguish between those things, what they are. And Patrick, can you give us more insights about how non-alcoholic wines are actually being made?
Yes, so we have, of course, our own case where in which direction we're looking on our non-alcoholic wines. I produce now since the winter 2004, so my 20 years as a master of our winery and when we started 1 year ago, actually we started for real 3 years ago, and it was some kind of try and error, and it took us much more time than on my own thought it would be. I thought, yeah, you go to de-alcoholize the best wine, and you will get a great non-alcoholic one. And that wasn't that easy. But in our case, we say we try to produce the best classical wine with alcohol. And when we get out the best of it and remove the alcohol, we will find a wine which is a non-alcoholic wine, which is also finding the whole palate. And this was our case. So we said we tried everything in the world on that point. And so, okay, the sparkling wines and alternatives in this area, a few of them are quite good. If it's going to the white wine area, it's getting more complicated. And if we talk about red wine, it's really hard to find something which gets the taste of a classical wine maker. And so this was the point where now it's on. I want to go for that because I want to see if we can get it to another level. And then we said, okay, if we like to get for this big step, we have to work with the best we have. And this was, in our case, our most known wine, Sierra Leone's. But okay, let's try this one, and if let's see what's coming out. And 2 years later, I was in a time that said, okay, we have made big steps. It's much more thing I'm looking for, but we have to work harder and bench we got the level of wine we're looking for. And nowadays, we're really, really happy with what's going on.
You did answer my question actually. I'm very sorry to say that. I was asking about the methods. So which different methods do we have to create non-alcoholic wines, please?
I'm really sorry, and I will make it really short now. There are three different kind of types of last wine. So it's one, and this is what we use, is water distillation, where you put the wine under pressure and you get lower down the degree where the alcohol is removing. The other one is osmosis, and the third variation is a spinning coil. Spinning coil isn't used that much anymore. The osmosis and the water distillation the most used ones. In our case, we do a separate aromatic recovery, which is pretty new in the market, which is in our case maybe the point why we got the mix of our wines to another level.
I think what's probably also interested in Europe, is more common, but I think in the US it's a bit different approach.
There is machines that de-alcoholize in one country, so that it's right next to where I'm at, and so I've got to connect with a lot of people. And I'm seeing different machines in wine country and other technologies. Some are using chemicals. This was a new one that we were learning, talking to winemakers, and now that they were like, oh, we wouldn't want to put these crazy chemicals inside of these products to de-alcoholize them. And I was like, what now? He said, yeah, it's called, it has a brand name of it was now. And he's like, these chemicals, and it brings it down by a couple percent. Oh, no, I'm talking like vacuum distillation. Bring it through your vacuum, and then and then the gases come off. He's like, oh yeah, no. He said, I thought it was a totally different situation. I was like, oh no, we're not putting a bunch of chemicals on these products. So that was just to clear that up. But that is the process to bring down certain percentages of wine. I know that there is reverse osmosis machines, like filtering the alcohol out in some type of way. And then there are some old spinning machines from large brands.
Okay, thank you for giving us insight on that. Yeah, now that we are ready for more, I would like to talk a little bit more about the demand and also the people that consume non-alcoholic wine. Josh, can you tell me how much experience the demand for non-alcoholic wines in the US?
Yes, I can talk on that. And I think there was a hand raised over there, but I don't know.
How does the de-alcoholization change the taste of the wine? Because obviously it does change something, and how? But we can talk about it later.
No, the same will. Of course, it will change the taste of wine. One of the main parts of wine is alcohol, and alcohol is a wine which I tell it it's like holding the different aspects together. And if you remove that, everything is like a little bit weird around, and you have to find a point where you can settle up this together. And of course, the non-alcoholic version will never have the same taste as the original, but we can find nearly everything of the palate without having the alcohol inside. So, for example, if we go for red wine, of course, many people say, red wine is strong and impulsive and the warm feeling when you drink it. These are many aspects which come together with the alcohol. Or when it's not here, you have to fix out other points. But you have the aromatics, you have the fruits, you have the tannins, you have the acidity, and of course, for example, the variation where it was aged, like oak, and all these parts are there, and you just have to maybe fix out the thinking in your head what that's how it has to be a normal red one. And if you have separated in a new category, then you will find all the fine nuances to go from one because your head won't tell you where's the alcohol, where's the alcohol. If you have tried 10 or 15 or 20 non-alcoholic wines, you have separated it like natural wines or like or you have your own category and you will find the good points or the negative points, especially in that one category.
So if I sum it up, you would say that non-alcoholic wines are a wine category.
Absolutely.
Okay. Lucas, how are you seeing that?
I agree to some degree. I think at the end, yes, it's a unique product. It's a Tiago wine, and it's not wine per se. But they go hand in hand, and I think this is very important that it's not black and white. It's maybe a little bit more gray in general. We have wines with alcohol and some without. I think this is also a great thing about the movement, bringing people together that never thought they are able to cheers again. Somehow the same beverage in their cups.
I will say on that note too, since a lot of the non-alcoholic wines that have come out, there's a bad reputation for what they are. And not too long ago, they didn't really exist in the United States. Nobody was thinking about, oh, non-alcoholic wine, yeah, I can try that sometime. Or, oh yeah, we can find it over there, we should go pick some up. 4 years ago, that was not something that was even thought about, because there was only 1 or 2 brands that you could find if you were in fact looking for it, and you might be if you're pregnant, maybe medication for whatever reason, but it just really didn't exist as something that somebody thought about. But if it smells like grape juice, that doesn't hit like an adult beverage, and a lot of the stuff does that comes out on the market, and a lot of the stuff is bulk wine that's at a lower quality. So also when you're smelling it, you're tasting it, it's kind of like, so that's it changing into super premium products changes the entire thing. And that's what's possible now as the technology is better. And about your question, like what kind of people, one of the first things I want to say on that note is there's many millions of people that have cut back on drinking or they have stopped altogether. A certain percentage of those people love wine and they've had memorable wine experiences. And they want a memorable wine experience again, and they do not want to drink alcohol. It has been extremely difficult to find something that scratches that itch, especially if it smells like grape juice or vinegar or is sweet and they don't want a sweet wine. That's what's coming up now. And those wine experiences can now be had. And that is an extremely powerful thing. To be able to enjoy such a wine with food and company is a certain drinker. Now, there's another drinker that does drink wine, let's say, regularly, and they also know wine very well. When they drink a non-alcoholic wine, even if it's super premium, I see in my experience, because I've tasted these wines on 12 different sommeliers now, and a 3 sober sommeliers, and it's really interesting when they smell it and drink it, they're like, oh my God, like, that's it. You know, it's like old world wine. It's such an amazing experience. And then with another sommelier that does drink regularly, drinks it as well, it's a different palate. And they're like, okay, yeah, there's something missing there. And I'm like, there's 120 calories missing in there, which is weight and viscosity right in the middle. but you can taste this terroir and you can actually smell this. So there's a lot of different drinkers out there, and yeah, we're going to keep talking about this wine, but we're going to also talk about the generations of different drinkers, and I can cover that super quick. So different generations have different drinking preferences that I've seen. So I talk about, especially non-alcoholic wine, every day for 10 to 12 hours for 3.5 years. And that's everyday people coming in. So what I see is let's say there's a boomer generation, so the oldest generation will start up there, and for health reasons, alcohol really affects them, but they're also kind of set in their ways. And so their drinking preferences have adjusted a bit, and maybe they're not drinking as much, but they're also from an older generation, but they also maybe drink less. Below that, the next buying is kind of staying around the same, if not increasing by a percentage point in America. And they're also of a generation that grew up with wine and had a lot of wine experiences and will continue on doing what they're doing. Then you have the millennials. That's who's really driving this market, because they grew up in the cocktail renaissance that happened of 2010 to 2020, if you will, when they were drinking Negronis and Manhattans and wine, and they were going out and they were all hip, and they were that was a big part of their growing up. And then they turned 38, and they were like, this hurts. I like yoga. You know, I want to just make it a little bit more easy. Or I have babies now. I don't want to hang over and kids. So millennials really drive this market. But then you have Gen Z, which right now is 21 years old, 26, 27 years old. And parents are telling me, my kid doesn't want to drink. I don't know what's going on. What's wrong with them? They don't want to drink. For half of Gen Z has a preference of not drinking. So binge drinking and college drinking, like we all know, is just like completely different. And they're not developing so much of a taste for wine. And we don't even know what Gen Z is really going to be drinking in 2 to 3 years. I see glimpses of it, but that's what big wine is really trying to figure out and pivot for right now. Very different, all different generations, very different drinking preferences and reasons as to why they shifted.
So if I sum it up, there are one reason of the mindful drinking, and then there are people also driving it that don't drink alcohol at all. Yes.
We ran a few supermarkets in Austria, and because we do the non-alcoholic wines on the alcoholic wine shelf. Is it the same in the US, or would it make more sense to use the non-alcoholic?
Yes, you want the non-alcoholic wines in the wine section. Absolutely.
Because we do, that makes sense.
That is the way.
But there's always a but. I think it's very important that you see the best supermarket is that you can really highlight it. You can really see already far away that it's not alcoholic. So you don't have to show it really highlighted with frames. You don't have to search for it. And then you can have some supermarkets that all the non-alcoholic options together. So they have the non-alcoholic beer, the non-alcoholic together, so they have it all together. Because I saw it on many pictures of big supermarkets that areas also good that are close to the alcoholic areas.
Yeah. So one thing I will say is Whole Foods is like a classic demographic of shopper that is also shopping for these products. Whole Foods, bunch of times I went into Whole Foods, they literally have the index, non-alcoholic tequilas, non-alcoholic wines, multiple times, and this is not just because of our October, dry July, or dry January. They were just there. They know that their clients want these things. Now I saw a headline about last week that Whole Foods is now selling more non-alcoholic beer than alcoholic beer. So this is where things are at and where they're going. In a big box store, like for us, it's Total Wine and Mart and Venmo. These are the big alcohol stores. They have sections, and that's where you will find And those sections are obviously ever increasing and not really large. Whether or not the spirits are going to be in there with the juice is kind of debatable. Usually, they're going to be in different parts of the store, but the bulk of them will be in the one.
How many different non-alcoholic wine do you run?
Right now, I am running with brands. Right now, the brands that I have, I probably have eight brands that are making the cut right now.
Also, interesting question for you was how many brands wine alternatives do you have?
That's a good question. I was actually already starting to count them. I have currently 3 non-alcoholic wine brands in my portfolio. I think the most of my portfolio is actually wine proxies. I don't know the number, but it's definitely a bit higher, like 10 or maybe even more. Also some premium juices from Austria. But yeah.
I also want to stay with you and have also who are the people at your shop that are alcoholic wines? Do you have a feeling who that kind of people are?
Well, I think in this room are people with great experience having alcoholic wines to Austria. But from my experience in the first months, it's actually everyone. There is not a specific target. People reached out to me when I started the company and telling me we were looking for that. It's amazing that you do that you're on that, offer more options to us in Austria, and so are the consumer as well. There are some people, students that are currently studying and they arrive in town the next day. They want to have a panic attack or something like that on the next day. They skip drinking for maybe a few weeks or months. Then there are obviously the pregnant women, but also normal working and they don't want the stress every day. But also like men, obviously, it's not a thing of gender. It's part of our society. Yeah.
So we could say non-alcoholic wines are by the way. And what we experience in the wine is that about 70% are actually drinkers, so people that also drink alcohol. Just in the US, women, 93% of all people in the US buy non-alcoholic options, drink on a regular basis alcohol. You mentioned this, so it's totally out of it. And I think that's also the reason why this market is tremendously growing, because it's not just for niche, it's for everybody. And as soon as also restaurants are taking it, the growth will even be higher. But before that, Lucas, please tell us a little bit more and guide us also through how the experience is with dealing with non-alcoholic wine.
Happy to do so. All right. Thank you also, first of all, for giving a little presentation. But now we know a little bit more about customer insights and the people that drink non-alcoholic wines. I thought it might be interesting for you as well about the different motivations why we started with wine for using a non-alcoholic wine. My personal motivation was really to get more options. I mean, I love the offer, for example, Jello with the sparkling tea. It's an amazing product, and as well from other retailers here in Austria. So I was already really thankful for having that. But I missed a little bit more, to be very honest, and I still like to drink wine. Was really looking for more options in general. So, Josh, what was your personal motivation?
Yeah, and if you guys want to give some feedback on the microphone, it's not working out for you guys, or too loud. Somebody can.
Very sorry.
Yeah, come on down. Microphone's okay, guys? It's all right?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
No need to be cool, yeah.
Perfect timing. My personal motivation, I just was so passionate about liquor, beer, and wine for so long, and then I took all of that to Montauk and I did it early. I really saw it coming. It was people were drinking less in 2018, 2019 with alcohol spritzes, session IPAs, and so in 2020 that was my year of not drinking. And then 2 years after that, I saw the whole world coming, and then it took a year, it took 2 years, and now since it's a household subject, it feels amazing. They get to be a part of something that's about wellness. Everybody's on board for wellness, and it's such an exciting subject too, because people are so curious. When we talk about non-alcoholic beer, wine, and cocktails, there's an energy coming from the person in that conversation that is palpable. You can see it and feel it in the person. Everybody's like, "Oh yeah, but I want to know more. I want to taste that. Like, oh wow, this does taste good. Oh, this is so neat." And then I get to see people enjoying it socially. And then any CEO I talk to, and anybody that I'm talking to about non-alcoholic stuff, they're all just like, there's this frequency, and I like letting people know that, because I know that people don't know that, because this hasn't happened, and I want to let everybody know that energy fills the room in my 100% non-alcoholic focused bar and bottle shop. And if there's another non-alcoholic bar or social space where people get together and connect, that vibe and that frequency and that energy is also going to be in those spaces. And that's a very exciting thing to look forward to.
I love that actually. That's great. For me, it was also like a little bit your story. I started in the market a few weeks ago, like a new Markthalle in Vienna, and I just asked the people if they want to try, and they were just amazed by the product. But there are obviously so much more hurdles before starting the business. Was there like a big hurdle for you as well?
Getting into opening a restaurant, yeah, that's the hardest thing anybody can do. And the lowest amount of return. And I remember when I started out, it was like, I could be making a mistake right now, like other people, and not even know it. And sure enough, 6 months later, I'm like, oh my God, like, I thought I was good at managing people. I was like, wow, I'm not that great at it. It's unbelievable. I thought I was really good at putting a very simple menu together that was delicious. And I was like, oh, that's actually very complex and there's too many items. I was like, oh my God. But then the hurdles also was like, I know the 6 month mark or the 1 year mark, I was like, I don't want to live like this anymore. This isn't healthy for me. But that's where you learn that you're made of, and you get pushed to your limits. That's also where growth happens. So I also love that those moments happen where it was so hard, and then you learn and you get past it, and then you attract people that are amazing at what you're not great at, and then you get to have a team, and then you get to have systems and operations, and then you get to have exciting conversations with people every day. I wish there was a camera following me to like the stuff that's talked about, and it's just so amazing. So it's also so rewarding as well.
I also had one experience about where I saw what's going on there. So, of course, in the last 30 years, a lot of people came to our winery and said, hey, I want to try a wine and with a lot of show all the different vintages and all that kind of stuff. People say, yeah, I love your wine, and they're really fascinated about it. Nowadays, people coming just to try 3 or 4 wines because they want to try a non-alcoholic one. There was one person who said, yeah, because of my health, I can't drink wine anymore. I had heart therapy and my life was really tough the last years. And on top, I just drink my lovely red wine. And she heard about the news that our wine has a lot of that what she is looking for. And we were trying the wines, and then we picked the top wine that we owned and took a sip, and immediately starting crying. Oh my God, what happened here? So I got a lot of good feedback about it, but nobody started crying because they drink a glass of they always have I don't know. So this was a point where I was say, okay, this is what we do as also a culturally and social part, and that's great to do.
To sum it up, it's actually something that's about inclusivity. So non-alcoholic options are more than just this option, because by giving this option, we include everybody in having a party, having a good time together. Because when I was pregnant and I could not drink, it was like I always had the half of the experience, and it was unfair. So I was pregnant, I already had to get so many things that I loved, and now at a good restaurant, I also could have the full experience. And then when somebody chooses you and you have that, just makes you feel good, and that's the great thing about non-alcoholic options.
Thank you for that, and especially talking about options. I mean, we all know that there are different non-alcoholic wine styles. So we have red wine, we have white wines, and we have sparkling wines. Out of interest, which wine or non-alcoholic wine has the advantage your winery in shop, which are with ZERONIMO?
Still, it's the honest blend. So most sold wine from the non-alcoholics is still a ZERONIMO honest blend, which is actually the most expensive still wine in the world. So money is not a topic here. Right? And currently, now in the summertime, it was it's it was a favorite summer wine for people, especially because it's really cool, and you can also make a nice pizza out of it, which is also very great.
Number one category and number one, the most conversations and the most samples that are given out are alcoholic wine. I know that what brings most people through my doors with sheer curiosity is 2 things: non-alcoholic red wine and non-alcoholic. And those are the 2 of the worst things inside of the whole market. Like, the hardest thing to do. I've always said it, that like whoever cracks non-alcoholic red wine will be a very it is such a thing that people emotionally desire, and it's the worst. I've tried all of them, and it has never been there, and that's the one that has always been the holy grail. But I sell more sparkling wine. I sell more sparkling wine for sure compared to every other category. Because anybody who's put money on non-alcoholic wine quickly realized it wasn't a good non-alcoholic red, and they were like, "Well, we can find good rosés and sparkling wines." So I sell more bottles than anything.
Yeah, same with me. I think like 70% of my portfolio is as well with sparkling. So maybe that's what I'll do. But I think it helps most people. It has a different mouth feeling, and it's a bit more fresher. Interestingly, I always get the question from customers, which wine is from Austria. And unfortunately, there are not so many non-alcoholic wine producers in Austria. Katja and Patrick from ZERONIMO are first producers actually in Austria that create premium non-alcoholic wines. And I think customers in my store truly appreciate having a high quality option from Austria. How's it in the US? Are people actually asking for Austrian non-alcoholic wines, or are they asking for ZERONIMO? How's it going over there?
So right now, ZERONIMO is the darling. It's where how it's been getting out into articles and LinkedIn and Instagram and in its different places. All the feedback has been coming back really good for the hardest subject. Right. And so there's a bit of a story being made right now, and it's a very good story. What people are asking for right now is just anything that's good, because over 90% of the wines that are being bought online or the big alcohol shop where they would go find it, I would say over 90% are just really not that great, or just, okay, I guess it's all right. So what people are asking for when they come in is just something good. I say it every day, multiple times a day. I'm like, everything on that shelf is gonna blow your mind. Like, I'm not bringing you to the end, it's gonna blow your mind. You know how many people are doing that in the United States that are curating a selection that's like, everything on that wall is gonna blow your mind? Not very many, and especially not the distributors. The distributors are not finding great things to bring in to make them accessible to the bars and restaurants. They're just bringing in whoever can fill the truck, whoever is capable of it. And it's usually those brands that just aren't that great, but people are just coming in looking for great wine.
Yeah, and I mean also my experience and mindset, I think wines are not there to replace traditional wines. What are your thoughts on that, Katja?
I think that's actually one of the most crucial parts also for the restaurants to realize, and something probably that traditional sommeliers sometimes giving back. Non-alcoholic wines is just quite a range of wine. It's nothing to do with taking away from the traditional wines. We need it both, and makes the playground sommeliers much more higher. If they will see that they have to decide their wine, also now non-alcoholic wines or low versions. And I think that's one of the most crucial parts to understand that it's not about replacing traditional wine. Extra on top, it's reaching even more people with the wine. It's expanding it, getting more people to the wine. That's actually very exciting.
Thank you. I mean, I also tasted probably more non-alcoholic wines in the past few months, and I was sometimes really, really impressed how they improved. Like when I remember 2 years ago, the first wines I bought from the supermarket, I was not a big fan, to be very honest. And you mentioned that actually a few weeks to me, Katja. Every batch of the ZERONIMO gets better and better, and it's unbelievable to see that development. However, I came across, especially in the last few months, tasting so many wines, that some are very, very poor quality. I sometimes feel that some producers just see the market and they just produce something. But yeah, they just put the minimal effort in them and use maybe massive wine production and stuff. And I actually believe that this could harm the whole movement. So maybe Josh, what do you see as the biggest opportunity, but also the biggest challenge for alcoholic wines today?
It's just historically hasn't been great, and that's why there's so much getting really good. It's getting good quicker, but like you said, it's what we call a cash grab in the United States. I'm sure you guys have that term here, but it's people just getting into the industry to provide something that's not alcoholic thing, because you can see these numbers and they're like, oh, we have to get it on that, let's go do the thing. And I can talk to those brands. I can like see it and hear it and feel it on them, and I'm just like, you're not gonna do it for the right reasons. And how many people are just like, I want to get to the non-alcoholic wine market. Oh look, there's bulk wine right there, and there's the alcoholization machine right there. Let's do it. We gotta get in on this. That is not producing great wine. And I don't even have great machines in California where there's so many entrepreneurs right now that are like, I'm buying bulk wine and I'm gonna de-alk it, I'm gonna put the label on it, and I'm gonna have a wine company. And they're starting with stuff that is just not premium. And I've heard it by multiple non-alcoholic wine owning brands. Really Patrick here, we have a whole conversation about it. You have to start with something that is premium. It is very important.
I also would say, I have to stay behind it, so I have to do something how I personally enjoy. And this is my biggest way and my biggest part of how we produce our ZERONIMO wines. It has to be something which is fixing my palate. And I won't go for sweet red wines. I would never drink something like that. So also a non-alcoholic red wine can't be sweet in my opinion. And this is a lot of that what is on the market. And my thinking was, okay, let's go for a taste. Hopefully a few will see it in the same way as you do. And I also would say when we think back around 20, 25 years when the first non-alcoholic beers came to the market, there was just two producers here in Austria, and both of them wasn't that good. And today there's nearly no beer producer which doesn't have a non-alcoholic version of it. And so the quality increases in a rapid way. And I think it will happen the same way with wines or other categories, because as much more producers are there going to have a high level of quality, as faster the main quality will raise, because the products which are not drinkable will fall away.
Thank you. I think we learned a lot about selling non-alcoholic wines, but maybe Josh, is there one thing you would like to mention as a tip for selling non-alcoholic wines?
Everybody's a beginner with non-alcoholic. There's very, very few people that know a lot about non-alcoholic beverages, so it's all about education. Non-alcoholic beverages is also about the way that you present it. If somebody buys a non-alcoholic whiskey online and they get it at home and they open it, put it in their glass and they taste it, they're going to be like, okay, well that kind of sucks. And what am I doing? And like, I love whiskey, and that doesn't taste like whiskey. It's a whole different experience. If you make a wine shop, and I have the same bottle of non-alcoholic whiskey, and I'm like, all right, guys, this one comes from Los Angeles. Well, it has some flavor notes. Now, one of the first things about non-alcoholic whiskey is it's not going to be sipped by itself. We're going to do that right now, because I want you guys to try it. Everybody wants to try it. So let's go ahead and do that, but I'm going to make you a cocktail right now. Really interesting. We'll see how this can play with other things. Boom, sample. Okay, that's interesting. Totally different experience. It was how I presented it. Same thing goes with wines. It's finding really good stuff, and then also giving expectations in a different place. Alcohol is not in there. The burn is not in there. The calories are not in there. So giving the expectations in a good spot. First finding really good non-alcoholic wine, and then getting the expectations. Getting educated on non-alc and presenting it in a way that has everything to do. This has a lot to do with non-alc, in my experience.
Thank you. I think it would be also great to get a better understanding of what we can do in general in the gastronomy area. So I'd like to hand over to you.
I'm very sorry, but we are already so much late in time, and that's why I want to ask one question about the one thing before we end our discussion and go to the tasting wine, because the pizzas are getting prepared, and they were already ready, and we have to get moving. With the restaurants, I have one question. So we are seeing the demand on the customer side. Whoa. But what's going on with the restaurant? Why is a restaurant not moving as fast as we're seeing it in customer-wise? What, in your opinion, are the reasons? And like everybody else gives saying one reason why it's
Restaurants are not taking in non-alcoholic wines specifically and non-alcoholic beverages as quickly because they're not finding the things that are good enough for their restaurant and bar programs.
Yeah, I mean, I could just copy that actually. I think the biggest hurdle is at the moment to convince communities that they should maybe don't compare it with their wine taste. They should focus more on the taste that are for people that don't drink wine with the same experience and knowledge they have.
I would also say it's more different to the owners of restaurants. They don't see the upselling qualities because if I go to a restaurant, decide inside to drink alcohol, decide in front of my meal, and if the owner is happy with selling a few bottles of mineral water, everything is fine. But if he has the opinion to do the upsell, bringing a non-alcoholic version to the table, which maybe has been mentioned, there's a big part where you can do upselling, and this should be also important for the restaurants.
Final question. Please finish the sentence. Non-alcoholic wines are
Getting a whole lot better.
Inclusive.
That's the future.
So thank you very much for listening to us. Sorry that we have been a little bit long than we wanted. I think all our groups have something to bring. So we will start immediately our tasting. We will present the following. Everybody often shows one of our ZERONIMO wines for a reason. He or she will tell you that. And we will start to give our first wine into your glass now, which is our ZERONIMO neck. And we will also get the pizza carrier to it, and also there I will explain to you why.
And Dr. which glasses you want to for 2023?
One funny thing probably about it also, it's very crucial which glass you're choosing when you're tasting of alcoholic wine. Even more crucial than the conventional wines, because non-alcoholic wine is very fragile. So selecting the glass is a major part of the experience of the wine. So I'm telling you how such a good discussion. If I put it in a bigger glass, which I decided now that we're going for, and you will have more aroma. If you put it in the smaller glass, in the big glass, you will have more bubbles. I was deciding now that I wanted that we were having more aroma. That's the reason why I was going with the bigger glass. It's also the same a little bit always with the red wines. If you go for a bougie glass, our non-alcoholic red wine will have a more charming wine in the glass, more harmonized. If you go and give it into a Bordeaux glass, it will be more masculine, more powerful. So depending on how the wine drinker is that you serve it, first that is going more for the aroma or more for the bubbles, and then choose the glass. And it has a very, very big effect on how you recognize the wine. So that's even more important with the normal wines. Here with the non-alcoholic, just so you know, it has a big influence in experience. And now I hand over the microphone to Lucas, who selected our surrounding one.
First of all, cheers to everyone. Hope you like my selection as well as I do. I think for me, selecting is sometimes also a little bit more like a reason. The sparkling select was actually the first moment that I tasted from ZERONIMO, because I always start with something sparkling when I try wines. And the first edition, that's actually not the one we have in our glass right now. This is now the second batch. If I remember correctly, Gabon Scatella in Cuvée. I think it's a bit of the power.
Yeah, the last one in there.
And
Grunerveldt and Kreider, and then Ravana.
And I think what's so important is about a sparkling wine is that they have lovely acidity, that they are fresh, that they combine to full food. Because I think salty notes on dishes are great because you can really enhance them with something sparkling, something acidic. I think when you get it, you will understand that a little bit more. Yeah.
This second batch of sparkling select, I had it for the first time yesterday, and I don't get to taste wines like this in America very much. These aromatics are like unbelievable. The flavor profile and very there's mouthfeel to this, and thinking about this beautiful glass and these bubbles in this glass, there's so many people right. You think you're like missing out something because there's no alcohol in it. It's not the case. It is absolutely scratching the itch, and it is there for the occasion. And now there's millions of people that are just like so excited that it's an option, and this just takes so many boxes. Super excited about this right here.
Not having tasted too many of these sparkling wines. Is there any extra acidity? Or is it just like the regular wine?
It's one case where I always say we're going the same way with wines. So we're completely in the Austrian wine law. So once we don't push more of red sugar than we have, because if you remove the alcohol, the acidity would be more primary. So this is around 88 grams of red sugar on the liter, the lowest one on the market. And also, we don't have to put acidity on top because this is one fact the organization.
But to add the residual sugar, you don't keep it during the fermentation.
No, We produce a completely dry wine.
Also with the
Yes. So we don't have a focus of producing a non-alcoholic wine in starting in the beginning. We just try to do out of the best, and this is my opinion. There will be different speaks on that. How
would that make sense? Use less quantity when you have less alcohol.
yeah, that's right. I would say that also this higher fermentation part will drop down the fuel rate of the wine.
I really want to speak on the aromatics because it's the more geeky part of things, and I just want to say that there's nothing that has this kind of aromatics. What ZERONIMO specifically is doing is knocking everything way out of the water in aromatics. And since aromatics is such a crazy point, there's nothing that smells. This is abounding with such aroma.
Thank you so much. Probably how can we restore so much aroma? As I mentioned earlier before, we are making an aroma recovery method for our wines. What does this actually mean? We take the 100% alcohol part, so the part of alcohol that has been removed, we take this part and we get the aromas out of this part and give it back to the non-alcoholic wine. That's very unique because then you have the whole range of aromas included into the non-alcoholic wine. So now also the first pizza pairing coming to the wine. I hope you have all something left in your glass. If not, we will come through and give you something more to try. And look at which picture did you select and why do you think it's perfect to the wine?
But yeah, I selected a margarita pizza with sardines on top. I really love how sparkling wines with high acidity combine with salt. And I really think that's a great feeling in the mouth. The green apple of the sparkling wine, fresh winds. They go along so well, and as well with the fat of the mozzarella.
I'm really sorry.
And is the slightly brioche on the tongue. I think that is just a wonderful combination with something very delicate and a little bit more fatty. Yeah, I think it works really, really well here. But I'm very happy to hear also some thoughts.
Quiet. And we will be silent for a few minutes.
Do we have?
Neugierig natürlich, weil ich muss ja auch wissen, dass du meine Pizza hast.
Never saw something that had that much aromatics in the non-alcoholic wine industry. What do you think? Joshua. Oh, nice. I got a cafe in San Francisco. It'll be 4 years in January. So I love that. An operator with a question. Certain thing in common.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. This boy that probably goes today, and like, figure out all of that stuff.
My biggest help is from
Oh, wow.
today. And I have a very good waitress, and she just decided to.
I heard for, I don't know, 6, 7, or 8 people today, same thing. Body on it. It's just weight. No, well, it's less than, and I think it comes in around the 2. Less than 25. Like a meatball wants to show up or something. The aroma capture technology. You got a glass right there. Right, that's your glass right there.
Yeah, New technology to give you more aroma from the alcohol. The aroma is the first thing to go. You have to take it and bring it back. That technology just has 4 times more aroma molecules than what you can it's like even more. Where you tell the brewer, we try to bring it straight, this one out is more quality.
What's supposed to say?
I feel like my grapes are so blossom that they're like, well, that's sweet. It's like, no, it's the flavor.